Hey everybody, Yashua Suarez here with Edge Realty, and this is another episode of our Edge Realty podcast. And today we have a really exciting guest with us today, and I'm really super excited to have her in the studio. Please welcome Alicia Payseno.
Where's the applause?
What's going on? Absolutely. Got to add those sound effects in the background. So Alicia is actually the economic developer, with Cabot, the City of Cabot as well too. And we really wanted to kind of get a little bit in depth on kind of who you are, as well as to what's really going on and what's coming up with Cabot here in the next 3 to 4 years.
Absolutely.
So super excited to have you. Thank you guys so much for coming in.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get right into it. Who is Alicia Payseno?
Well, here I am. Yeah, absolutely. So short story is I actually relocated to the Cabot area in the 90s. My family moved here from California. We lived in Sacramento.
Cali, there you
I
go.
know. It was very bit of a culture change for me. And
West
moving,
Coast, East Coast.
There we go. There we go. And then South. Hey,
and South,
here we
right?
are. And so when I moved here, it was very different. In 93 time frame. And so when I left and graduated from high school, and I, of course, as most Cabotians, they were like, I'm never coming back to this community. And then as things have gone in my career and in life over the past, 20 plus years, the opportunity arose, and I'm very excited to be back in the Cabot area. My mama cried when I got the job. And so that's kind of the short story of how I got to where I am today. Physically.
Good deal. Physically, yeah. All right. So let's go into kind of like, a little bit of like your professional background as well too, and kind of how you got into being an economic developer.
Well, it's interesting because whenever, it's not something that you click off on a college resume. You're like, I want to be most people don't even know what they're doing it. And as I've kind of peeled back the layers of this profession, I realized I've actually been doing this since my 20s. I've been doing this job because a lot of it comes into marketing. It comes into data analysis. It comes into telling our story. And being able to really go on a broader reach, and then bringing it back to our hometown, and recruiting people, places, and things right back here to the city of Cabot. So I've been doing it across Central Arkansas for about 20 years, and I'm so happy to be back in Cabot and be able to do it for this.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So it's like you're building those connections, even though you unconsciously you're building those connections and kind of bringing those things, and it all kind of came into tide now, and where it's almost where you can help everybody at the same time. That's the best thing in the world, where you're in a type of position where you're a service, but you also have connections personally and professionally. And then you can kind of combine the two to benefit everybody. In my opinion, that's success right there.
And I joke every day that the main part of my job is I'm a matchmaker. And that's what I do is I get to find the right developer, the right person to purchase the right piece of property, which put you with the right realtor, which put you with the right financing, and put you with the right. And then we got to connect zoning and the city aspect. So we basically are matchmakers every day to just make that right puzzle to fit together to make something in part of our community.
Love it. I love it. All right. So for those that aren't really familiar with your position and your title, tell them a little bit of kind of like what it entails. And I know you went a little bit in depth just now, but let's go a little bit deeper.
Well, back to my history. So I actually have been in the Maumelle area for about 20 years working there. I was the director of Chamber of Commerce with the City of Maumelle. So that gave me a great foundation of knowing just how to collaborate with regional, state, local, just people to get to what we needed for our community. And so this was a perfect segue into my career and back home, so to speak. So economic development is all encompassing. It's also community development as well. Mm-hmm. And basically what our opportunity is we go out to these national site selectors from all over the country, and we tell our story, and we tell how amazing we are. We tell them about our assets. We tell them about our school districts, about our people, our places, our quality of life. And then on the other hand, we show them the amenities that we have, the land resources that we have, and then hope that by the grace of God that they decide that this is a good fit for them and be able to relocate their business or their manufacturing or their distribution to our area. So
that's to me, I find that extremely just interesting because of the fact that not only does it has to be analytical, not only does it has to be informational, not only do you have to do all the research on the back end, then you've got to take all that information and almost make a sales pitch presentation to them and kind of wow them with everything, and that passion has to come through. And I'm assuming with all the hours and time that you spend into it on the back end, you're like, it's second nature when you get up there, just because it's you've been doing it for so many hours.
Well, and that's it. And, the analytics are so important. And again, Cabot is continuously growing, and we are growing leaps and bounds. With whenever you look at our statistic numbers and our census numbers, we have seen tremendous growth. But what you don't see is the outer lying areas and what we call as our trade area. And we pull up to about 110,000 people in our general trade area that we can attribute to. And that's in our city, our counties, and our surrounding cities all the way out. Who's going to travel into our city every day? And so that's pretty substantial. And once we can actually articulate that to a site selector or to a potential developer, the next part is the easiest part. And basically, I get to, again, tell our story of who we are. And once you step foot in our city, I got them. I got them.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. That's what I'm talking about right there. And the passion comes through, and I love that. When I tell people all the time, like, whenever you're trying to convey what it is that you do or that you want to have done, the passion's got to be behind it. And just having you here, I can feel it. It's infectious, and I love it. Awesome. So you kind of match my energy too. I love it. I tend to be that one. You know what I mean? But all right, so we kind of got into it. I know there's I want to say it was about a year or two ago. We had Mayor Kincaid in here from the City of Cabot, and he was kind of giving us some insights on stuff that was kind of in the works. Then there was, some stuff behind the scenes that we couldn't share with everybody, that he was kind of give us a little idea of what's going on. But now you guys are at that point where you can share these projects that are coming up. So I was so excited whenever you came by our office. By the way, she came by our office, did an entire presentation for us over our Cabot office, and it was amazing. So informational, and it really kind of gave us a heads up exactly what's going to be going on in the City of Cabot and the surrounding areas. So kind of tell us what's going on. Go ahead.
And to that point, that's also one of the toughest things about my career and my job and my profession is we sign a lot of NDAs, which is a non-disclosure agreement. And so we have businesses, like really exciting, amazing businesses that are looking at our area, and we cannot disclose any of that information to the public or even to people outside of that NDA. And that's from a legal standpoint. So really, by the time things start to get to rolling, we've been working and vetting these processes for probably 6 months to at least a year, sometimes longer than that, some of these processes. So some of the things we're going to talk about today are really the things that have been in the pipeline. And the most important thing that I can say is these are fully funded projects. So while we sit around and we dream big and we have great vision with our city council and our administration and our leadership, finding the funding to really pull these things off has been really tough, honestly, but so rewarding. And so some of the things that we're getting ready to do, I guess I'll start with I don't even know where to even start. I don't know which one to even start with.
So before you get into that, because there is something I did want to kind of talk about a little bit, and I was just curious as far as, so you spoke about the funding. Now they're fully funded. Now, kind of explain to us how that entails, because does it come from, the community, the community members, or is it, from taxes, or how does that get paid?
Well, it really depends on the project, to be honest. So we are very lucky in the state of Arkansas. We receive a lot of opportunities for grant funding for a lot of our street improvements. We deal with RDOT, which is Arkansas Department of Transportation, and being able to find the funding that we can kind of get on their radar and finding those federal dollars that are there. So we actually go after federal money, we go after state money, and then there's opportunities within our city that we can actually advocate to our city council and find that city funding that is available and those projects, and be able to put those projects together. And again, our tax base is so substantial and is doing so well that we really have the opportunity that we can actually do these projects to really set Cabot apart in Central Arkansas and really in the state. So
nice. All right, so before we kind of get into like the real specifics, what's kind of the goal with all this? Are we trying to drive more companies? Are we trying to drive more community? Are we trying to drive just more traffic? What do you feel is one of the plans?
The answer is yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Really, and it has to be a good mix. It's just like a teeter-totter. If you are weighing too heavy on one end of that spectrum, then you're going to offset and have some deficiencies in the other. So it really is that beautiful mix of strategic growth when it comes to our residential and making sure that we're doing responsible building with our builders. It does come down to job creation. Job creation is huge. One of our biggest exports in the city of Cabot is our students and our families. Every single day, our students are leaving and not wanting to come back sometimes, but that paradox is totally changing. We see a lot of young families coming back home because of the amenities that we have in the community development, our Parks and Rec program, and then also the component of traffic and addressing that whenever we create this beautiful city that people want to come and live and visit and enjoy, how do we transport them and more effectively throughout our city? So all three of those are of equal importance.
Okay.
And it's really tough to see which one is ahead of the other. And again, we have a lot of projects that hit all of those markers that we were able to find the opportunity and are pushing forward on all fronts.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So, all right. So let's kind of get into the specifics of the projects that are kind of happening. I'll let you go ahead and start.
It's fine. It's fine.
We can start from, like.
I don't even know. Yeah. I joke. I was like, hey, did you know that Cabot has a traffic problem? Are you aware? Are you aware? Did you notice that?
What? Where?
I know. Shock and awe. I mean, and it's very interesting because when you look at the grid of the City of Cabot, it was in the way that it is laid out. It was not laid out for the type of people that we are moving across, even in the proximity of where the location of the high school is, and just the school alone, and transporting the people in and out of the school twice a day is a lot of logistics. And our planning and zoning department looks at those things strenuously, along with traffic and street. So whenever we get to the table, it is the entire cabinet is like literally sitting down and looking at how is traffic flow moving through those areas and how can we be more effective.
Absolutely.
So one of the big things, of course, our interchange and our exits. I mean, of course, anyone who comes, I don't even have to tell you. You just get through what in the world? Like, what's happening here? So, that was just some previous designs from RDOT in years past. And I'm sure
just to be specific,
it
we're
worked.
talking about like exit 16, exit 19.
Yeah, exit 16, exit 19, Highway 5 and 89. I mean, and so basically those two are the ones of the largest struggles that we have. When it comes to traffic and it comes to backing things up. And once you start there and start backing things up, it just pushes and clogs everything else.
Yeah.
And it makes it stressful for our residents. And it makes it stressful for us too, because we see that, and there's a lot of things that we have restrictions on. And I will remind people that we are intersected by highways. All of them. I mean, literally every time you turn 89, 5, 321, 38. So those are all regulated by RDOT. And so we don't have a whole lot of jurisdiction, and we can advocate to them aggressively.
Right.
And we do. But when it comes down to those improvements that are on there, we really they have to take the lead, and they have to approve that funding. And so with that, we will be building 2 new interchanges at Highway 5 and 89. And that was something that the mayor spoke to many years ago. And kind of we were on the list, and they were doing some engineering studies and doing some traffic counts, and they warranted that we did need, in fact, to redesign both of those interchanges.
Let me ask you this: how many hands does a document of acceptance or where somebody is developing a project like this? How many hands touch a document like that going forward?
I couldn't even begin. I mean, because at a city level, how many people are involved in that process? And then at the state level, how many people are involved in that process? And then just at RDOT alone. And so being able, and again, they're the ones taking the lead on that engineering, and it's their approved funding. So it's them, and it's their construction teams, and it's their timelines. And we just basically get to interject our wants and desires as it comes along there and help support their efforts moving forward. And so we're so thankful, because it is going to be both of those interchange are going to be pulled up, and then also the highway between the 2 interchanges are going to be widened. So whenever you come out of Jacksonville and out of that North Little Rock up 67 and pushing through to Austin, it will be all seamless, and it will look just at the same characteristics as that we have to the north of us as well.
Yeah, nice.
That is part of a larger project too that will designate 167 to Interstate 57. So as you push out through Jonesboro and up through there and see the work that's going on, there's a couple of gaps, and once we can make that connector, that will be an interstate, and that just will open up a whole new opportunity for economic development and distribution as well.
Absolutely. It gives another access especially for those that the transport and
Yep.
truck drivers and all those manufacturers, and oh my God, I can't only imagine what
Coming out of the
travel-
St. Louis, so Chicago
Yeah.
down to St. Louis, right now they're popping off and going through Memphis because that's the path of least resistance, and then swinging
Gotcha.
back through Little Rock.
Yeah.
And if we can get them coming out of Chicago and then dropping straight down to Little Rock right through that pathway,
Yeah.
that was been the long-term goal of Interstate 57.
One, that'll cut down their time, and
It
then
will.
two, it'll cut down their expenses as well also.
Yeah.
So it makes it good for everybody, and hopefully they'll stop by.
Say hey.
Well, also, okay, so
Grab a
yeah, so
burger.
that's a really big one. Now to kind of play devil's advocate on it, what's some obstacles that you've kind of been finding on the process of getting that accepted?
Gotcha. So we actually had that, and it was out for engineering, and it was actually going to go out to bid at the end of last year, and we were so excited about that timeline. So a plus and a minus. So that was out to bid, and they decided to pull it back because of the federal funding that was being offered by the national government. And so at that point, they pulled that entire project back. They looked at it, and they went ahead and they expanded the scope. So while everything is like a piece here and a piece here, and I mean, if you've driven, you know, there's nothing linear about that development. And so now they're going to be able to drop that piece back in and really cap it from Jacksonville all the way to Austin.
Gotcha.
Comprehensively, and so it has, but it did have to go back to the drawing boards. And
Yeah.
so I think time is really the hardest thing for us, because we're looking at the highway expansion to go in 2023, and then the 2 interchanges about 2024. So within that time frame. So those are those bid dates for those things.
Good deal.
But again, all I can say is they're funded. They're in engineering. We are pushing forward with design and right-of-ways and easements and accesses, and we're on the list, so it's coming.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Super exciting.
And then we're going to have construction, and that's going to be another struggle,
Of course,
challenge, and
yeah.
it's going to be frustrating for all parties involved. But one day we're going to have these two new beautiful interchanges, and
Well, that's how it was with the 67 leading from Jacksonville to Cabot, and we had that certain time where it was a few years where it was we had a lot of traffic going through there, and a lot of construction. But now it's amazing, and the flow that comes from that open space from that Jacksonville Military Drive exit, or not Military Drive, but the Vandenberg all the way up to the first Cabot exit. It's such a smooth ride, you know what I mean? So it's great, and honestly, I'm excited to see the rest of it as well too, to extend.
And the real struggle is that, again, the balance of the small town feel that we have, the charm of our community, and the quaintness that we have, and the camaraderie we have with our residents, that balance with growth. Because while we cannot,
That's a really tough thing
it
to
is
do.
a tough balance, because we cannot stop people from relocating here, and really we don't want to, because at that point we start to go in recession as a city. But making sure we're doing it strategically, and then as the influx of people come, addressing those needs and fixing a lot of the problems that kind of have been left to this administration. And Mayor Kincaid literally takes all of those head on, and he looks not just past what's going to get us through the next year or 4 years. It's the 10-year plan and the 20-year plan, that when we leave this position and we leave this administration, that we'll be able to come back and be like, I did that, instead
That's
of
right.
I did that.
Right.
So and that's an exciting thing that he just cultivates throughout his entire departments.
That's
and
super
the entire
exciting.
cabinet. So.
That mindset. I mean, it's. I can't say that everybody has that mindset, to be honest with you, which is tough. It's tough to accept, especially now being 2022, and now there's new generations kind of coming up as well too, and we want to take care of them, and also so to have that forward mindset is something that is amazing to have, and it's refreshing to have as well too. So
and I can speak to that really personally. Again, I lived in the Maumelle area for 20 years. I have a 25-year-old daughter. I have a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old. And whenever I was interviewing for this position, it was just not me interviewing for a job or just a position to be held. It was actually interviewing for a lifestyle change for me and my family. And before I even accepted the position, we had a family meeting and sat down, and I said, if we're doing this, we're going all in. And so I've relocated all of my children and myself, and so we bought a house here in Cabot. We sold everything and moved here. My kids are at Cabot High School and at the Freshman Academy.
You're invested.
So again, if I'm going to do it, we're going to go in head first.
That's
we're going to do it all the way. It's either all or nothing. And so to that, I really listened to Mayor Kincaid. I listened to those department heads, because if it was going to be something of, well, this is the way we've done it, and or do you want to do something that really is setting the pace for future generations and for the future of Cabot? I want to be
Yeah.
part of that.
Push that
And
momentum,
I
right?
did. And so that was really exciting for me to be, sitting down at the table with people who want to look past today.
Right on.
And don't want to look in the past and behind us either. We're looking so
Yeah.
far ahead of how we can plan for the future of Cabot.
Oh my God, I love
Yeah.
it. I love that. I love that when you kind of have that collaboration with like-minded people,
Yep.
and then that gets you fired up like no other. And
Exactly.
it's amazing. I love it. And to have that within the city, you know what I mean, is even crazier to think about. So like, I'm just super
Well, and
excited for
even
everything.
our city council. I mean, and that's the beauty of all of this is they come to us with their ideas and their wants and what they see is important to them, and we want to cultivate that as well because they sit there as representatives of their constituents and of the people within their area.
Yeah.
And so what is not working in their area and what is working, and we need to know that as well because we sit at City Hall and I can't be everywhere all the time, and so listening really to that city council and what they even our planning and zoning, what are they seeing? And so it's been very exciting time for the city of Cabot, and it shows again in our growth and in the
Absolutely.
projects that we're getting ready to kick off.
Love it. I love it. All right. So have you been able to bring all these projects that we're going to be talking about to the public yet? Or
Oh, yeah.
What's been the feedback you've kind of gotten?
So RDOT on the highway, they actually did some community things, and until we get through engineering, we won't be able to come back to the community and be able to showcase exactly what the engineering plans and what that is. I can tell you that their concept is called a SPUI. It's called a single point urban interchange. The first one
I
was
was going to ask about that.
yeah, everyone's like, what? And they're like, no roundabouts. And I'm like, no, we have a SPUI. And they're like, I don't know what that is. So basically, there's only one other one in the state. It's in the Bentonville area. They actually just launched that about a year or two ago. RDOT did. And these are really popular in Missouri and Oklahoma and north of us. And basically, it is 8 lanes of converging traffic with one singular point. And so we are flowing traffic off the freeways. It will take those big looping on-ramps away, and it streamlines everything more efficiently into one centralized spot where traffic is merging. And we'll be doing a lot of education on that moving forward. And being able to help as families navigate through that area. It will be, again, a challenge, and it will be something different, and it will come with its struggles. But I know in the long term, it is going to fixing those interchanges, just fixing the light system at both.
Yes,
Ooh,
yes. Kind of get it off that timer set to actual
my
sensors.
gosh, yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, hopefully I can put a little graphic like right here to kind of show everybody kind of what it
I was like,
SPUI
the
is.
red car goes now. I mean, that's really, really what we want to do is we want to coordinate with RDOT moving forward once we are able to release all that information and be able to show those if you are in this lane and you are doing this. And that the visuals seem to be very helpful. So we'll be doing a lot of educational in the years to come with that.
It's definitely going to need it. Definitely
Before we get into the, it's like in conjunction with construction.
No, nice.
Yeah, this is terrible, but it's going to be great.
It's gonna be, yeah, 'cause, I mean, initially when I saw the graphic that you kind of shared to give an example of what a SPUI,
yeah,
what a SPUI is, I was like.
And you're like,
a little bit.
Yeah.
But then once I kind of see it, I'm like, oh, I get it now. Or, it makes sense. It does make a lot of sense. There was, a few questions I had as far as this SPUI goes, just because right outside of like that main little intersection, right over the bridge, I guess there's another intersection on both sides of it. I guess, and we can. I mean, we don't have to talk about it now, but
no, it's fine.
It's getting into those. It seems like there's a stop sign to another stop sign, or a stoplight to another stoplight.
Are we talking on
intersection
89?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
On 89.
And that's really, and because again 89 is a state highway, and so that was their justification of how they were going to fix it. And so as you push west, they're going to fix that entire interchange at the Walmart at the Rockwood, that Rockwood intersection. That whole thing is going to be reconfigured too.
Gotcha.
And so instead of us having 8 lights in a stretch, there will only be 1, and then there's going to be some traffic flow issues.
So that answers my question.
Yeah, we're waiting eagerly, also waiting on the final engineering on how that is going to be remedied as well.
Good deal.
That is we've advocated on that.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we've kind of talked about the project for Highway and future I-57 as well too. Now, kind of tell us about these regional parks that you guys are developing.
Gotcha.
So there's going to be a police and fire department training center and a sports complex. Are those in the same place?
In the general vicinity.
Right?
Yeah. So really, when we talk about funding, this one is actually really, really special, really special. So in August of last year, the city council approved to take to the voters a rededication of a 1 cent sales tax that we already had on the books for the city of Cabot. It was going to sunset in years to come, and it had also funded some other projects for the city in years past. And we, because of the timing in economics and with bond and lending and things like that, we were able to basically, I'm going to dial this down a bit. Basically, we refinanced the house.
Okay.
Basically, is what we did. We refinanced the house, and we were able to borrow a bunch against the house because we were doing so well, and then keep our payments lower than what they were at the time.
Yeah.
So that is the general. I mean, there's a lot more that went into bonds and things like that. But with that, we were able to borrow $80 million for community and economic development programs.
Wow.
So that ran, we had 10 separate ballot initiatives that ran from streets and drainage to a community pantry, to the police and fire station, to an animal service center. I mean, there were so many things in there. And all 10 went to the voters. And I am so thrilled to say Cabot came out strong, as they always have. All 10 of those initiatives passed, and with the highest being of an 80% approval rating.
Wow.
And so whenever the state legislatures and different people came back, they're like 80. And I was like, 80. and again, it speaks to the testament of Mayor Kincaid and the entire city council. We just all went out and told the story of what it was, based on facts. And all that information can go on cabotbond.com. We've left that website up afterwards because we also are trying to put some markers in there of the projects as they come through. Mm-hmm. So if you can imagine, if 10 projects are not going to go off simultaneously.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
We do have some time within that, but they all are in different stages of planning and strategic planning, and then bidding, and then also construction. So right now, the sports complex is one of the ones that is kind of at the front of that list, so to speak. Travis over at Cabot Parks and Rec and his crew have designed a beautiful, beautiful facility, state of the art, nothing like you've seen in Arkansas.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and so that is going to be out at Regional Park. For those that don't know, that is actually north of Cabot, and it's at exit 21. Mm-hmm. If you go out there, there's a street department kind of on the corner right there, and then you weave back around. It's where the BMX bike system is. There's a shooting range. It's really kind of been an undeveloped area. The past year, they also expanded that. So we're over about 400 acres at that park, and they are master planning that right now. Dang. We are going to have integrated walking trails, biking trails, the regional sports complex. There's going to be a skateboard park that Travis went out and got an amazing grant for. So there's just a lot of things that are going to happen, and it's part of the long-term sports tourism.
Yeah.
Own who we are. We are a sports tourism town.
Absolutely.
So they are doubling down on that, and so that complex is going to be substantial.
That's absolutely exciting. When I saw those plans, I was ecstatic, just because one, it's always, I'll always hear people talking about the fact that there is not enough to do, or they're wanting more for the kids to do around town, and I absolutely understand. We got to keep the kids busy. They get bored. Idle hands become so. But I think, adding to that, and on top of that too, bringing tourism here and bringing the tournaments here, bringing even more availability for people to see what Cabot's about as well too. It's gonna keep flooding that way.
It's awesome. So that facility is gonna have 6 basketball courts.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
Which will turn to 12 volleyball courts.
Love it.
There are going to be 2 indoor soccer fields, which can also be used for lacrosse, and then also, more importantly for our community, U8 baseball and softball infielding and batting practices.
Nice.
So U8 and up, and so it's going to be a workhorse. It really is. Travis and I joke all the time, and about that thing is going to probably be booked at least 40 weeks out of the year.
Oh, definitely.
And so while he is very excited on the programming side of it and what the tournaments that he's going to be bringing in, and just the approach that we're going to take when we talk about regional, people coming into our community, I get to flip on the economic development side of that. And what does
Nice.
that do for our community as I'm going out and attracting restaurants and hotels
Right.
and entertainment? So those amenities that people are wanting, they kind of need a reason why. And we've now just given them a great reason why. So if that thing's going to be packed out 40 weeks out of the year, they got to eat somewhere and they need to
That's
stay somewhere.
right.
So
Love
we
it.
want them to stay right here in Cabot.
I love it. Man, I'm super excited for that complex as well too. All right, so what was a big reason for the police and fire department, the training facility to kind of come about? What was it something that people were wanting more of? They thought that maybe we needed to change. What developed
Gotcha.
that?
Actually, that was more of an internal discussion of the needs of the police and fire department. So, in addition to them, the MIMS, which is our ambulatory service here in the city of Cabot, we see the struggles that we have when we're going out to that Greystone and up to Magnus Creek, as far as being able to have good response times. We do have a station that is up there, but as we grow, we also have to look at our response times for police and fire and making sure that we're strategically placing these locations to help support the efforts of that if there is an emergency anywhere within our city. And so the location of that is actually going to be just a little bit north of the sports complex on some additional property that the city owns up there. The other thing is that what we've learned is our first responders and our fire department, if they have to do continuous training, I mean, they train more than I think than any other probably personnel probably in the city that I can even just think of. And what they're doing is they're having to go to parking lots, or they're going to the school and they're loading out all of their equipment, and they're doing that. And say shift A is going to do that training. Well, halfway through shift, they get the call. And so they're either having to abandon their stuff or roll it up or get it up and hop back on the rig and go. And so the training is not as seamless as it needs to be. And secondary, we have to send them out of our city to do additional training that is required of their profession.
Yeah.
And so now they're working these long hours, these long shifts. And then on top of that, I need you to leave your family and go either for a day or two and do this additional training outside of our city. So being able to have something within the city of Cabot where our police and fire can train on site actively makes them smarter, better, faster, more efficient. And it also takes away from the time that they spend away from their families and their downtime that they need to recover and really be the best that they can be for our residents.
For sure, absolutely. So would this also become kind of an opportunity for other departments in other cities to come through and be able to utilize
Absolutely.
this?
Chief Moore and Chief Steely have such great respect and such great reputation among county, city, state agencies that, again, when we're building it with the thought that we are going to bring people here to our community to see the amenities that we have. So on one side of the house will be the fire. On the other side of the house is police, and in the middle of that is a large training facility that is going to be shared by both, and then open up to other agencies around the area.
Nice.
In the back, there's going to be a burn house, so those guys can actually get into a simulated burn and run up them stairs. I am not running up those stairs. I will applaud.
That's right.
Thank you.
Be out
Thank
here.
you.
Absolutely.
Do you need a water?
That's right.
So they're going to be able to have that on site here. Again, that's an opportunity that not many communities in Central Arkansas have, and again, we're having to go out to go get that hands-on experience, and so being able to have it here is going to be wonderful. And then police also will have their shooting area that will be on site as well, and a shooting range.
That's perfect. Because and it's funny because we actually have a couple of firemen that are actually part of our real estate agency as well too, with our brokerage, and they've shown me where they had to go get training originally when they were becoming firemen.
Exactly.
And it's not close.
No, it's not.
It's not close.
No.
It's a few hours away.
It's a few hours away, and then typically, if it's so far away and they were spending.
It's a
long
great
hours,
facility. Don't get me wrong.
It's great,
but it's just it's
just
for,
not
for
conducive.
them conducive here for them. It just doesn't work. Yeah,
No.
Absolutely. All right, so. These are. Let's just go right on to the next one, because honestly, this is probably one of the bigger ones that is going to be bringing something huge. And so Unity Health Medical Facility.
Absolutely. So whenever I first started in this position, there were some markers of some things that I really kind of had on American Kid and I sat down on our checklist. What is the low-hanging fruit, and what is the things that we need to be the most aggressive on quickly and kind of get out the gate. Hospitality was one of them. As you can see, there's a Holiday Inn Express going up, and Hampton Inn is going to be right next door to that because, again, as we do tourism, we need people to stay in our city. We need them to come, buy our gas in our restaurants, check out who we are. And then the next one was, again, traffic and the sales tax and all of the projects that were in there. And the next was job creation. We talked a little bit about that at the beginning of the show, of our major export, the amount of people that we put on the road each and every day leaving the city of Cabot. And they're spending long hours away, and they're either in Central Arkansas or in Searcy, and then or Conway, and then they're coming back home every night. But that's, if we can find that perfect mix of being able to have a job here in town where they can stay here. One of the most interesting enough, our largest employer is actually Cabot School District, which is, again, and we also have the best school district in the state of Arkansas, in my opinion. And on numbers. However, if you're not in education, it kind of limits you being able to work within that organization. So when Unity Health decided that they were going to pick Cabot to build their flagship hospital, which will have probably between 4 to 6 buildings and then an entire surrounding campus, we were thrilled to support their efforts. That is going to be a job creation of about 700 just on the hospital side alone.
Jeez.
700, and that is going to range not just those in medical. I mean, that's it. They're bringing all the resources here, and so that's something that we expect to see probably in the next 3 to 5 years. Again, economic development is not a fast game. It is strategic planning. It is long-term planning. It is seeing things, and who knows, it may be tens of decades before we see a lot of everything that we have in place today. But still, it's coming down, and we're really excited about that opportunity.
And to have that mindset, like, do you feel as though is it kind of bittersweet when you have something like that, where it's you're the instigator of something that it could possibly do so well for your city, but you don't get to actually get to the finish line with it? How do you kind of get your mindset around that? Because you got to have a strong mindset.
Well, you do have to have a strong mindset, and it has to be a selfless mindset, and knowing that my name's never gonna, like, in 10 years from now, no one's gonna remember who my name is. They're gonna see a podcast and be like, who is that crazy lady? But knowing that the things that we do now, again, 10, 20 years from now, they'll remember upper administration and our city council, but all of the people who are doing the work within all the departments, we have to know that it is selfless, and it is for the betterment of our community. And knowing that on the front end is humbling, absolutely, but it is also so rewarding, because you get to walk around and there are a lot of, I talked to a lot of other different, they're like, I did that.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, we did that. Fist bump, and then we move on, because we have like 27 other things that we have to go on to, but knowing that when my children graduate from Cabot High and they decide to come back and bring their family back, and Cabotians all over come back for, this had a bunch of reunions this past weekend, just seeing like, wow, I wish I would have had that when I was here. I would have stayed. And we hear that so many times. So being able to,
all these different like webs and avenues that kind of come back to really that make it relatable. It's so crazy to think about. I love that.
So with the Unity Health Project, that's a really interesting one. One of the stories that I remember hearing very early on in economic development.
But before you go, just is the Unity Health Medical Center or facility is going to be, is that location already picked out?
So it's also at exit 21. So it's on the other side. So Regional Park, if you're heading north on 67, Regional Park will be on your left, and Unity Health will be on your right. And they have a fully developed campus. And to the point of why they picked Cabot, kind of back to what I've learned is that there was a major call center that was going to come to Central Arkansas. And this is probably back in like the 80s. And it was coming to a city in Central Arkansas, not Cabot. And basically the story goes is that the CEO came in to that community and was going to invest millions of dollars into this call center and into this area. And he looked around and he said, while my investment is millions of dollars and it's substantial, my biggest investment are my people. And this is just really not the community that I see my upper management and I see my people living in. And so we're going to pass it this time. And that was a wake-up call to that community, that they basically, eyes wide open, and got called out on it and have taken a hard right on that and shifted their matrix. We were lucky we did not have to have that big wake-up call, but Unity, to that point, knew that this is where they wanted to be. This is where they wanted their people to be, because a majority of the Unity employees will live in the Cabot area. So they knew that this is a city that they wanted to basically latch onto and could see long-term, with not just the facility, but with their people. And that's huge. That's just a nod to everything that we're doing.
Do you feel like though it's gonna kind of take away from any of the other emergency facilities that are around Cabot?
No, and it's funny. I get asked that a lot, and I do speak to the management over there as well. The ones that are here now serve a very specific niche, and if I need to go to an emergency room, like if I am in a major car accident or if I have a major injury, I'm going to need to go to a fully vetted emergency hospital. And that's where I'm going to go, to that ER. If I have things that I don't feel well, I still have the resources here in our community and they're holding down the fort and doing such an amazing job with those emergency smaller care, because there are some things that they are limited by that they're going to have to transfer out anyway.
Gotcha.
And so being able to transfer out, instead of transferring them to North Little Rock or to Little Rock, we're going to be able to transfer them right down the road.
Right.
And so helping them bridge that connection with each other too, that partnership, is going to be really important moving forward. So they serve a unique and very special opportunity within our city that I think that can be built upon with a partnership.
There you go.
Again, I'm not going to go sit in an emergency room for some stitches.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I'm going to go down the street.
Yeah, honestly, I think like you said, I think as long as like that mutual respect is there as far as like knowing, hey, that's your niche. We're not going to pump on your niche. This is we're going to go on this side of things, and but we'll piggyback off of each other to be able to, hey, if you need this, I got you. If I need this,
and if there's some things in the overflow of the emergency services, I'm sure that's going to be another thing of other resources where people can go. So it'll flow both ways. It is not a one-way flow. It is going to flow both ways.
Good deal. Good.
Yeah.
Deal.
So with the Unity Health Project, that funding is also very interesting. So my department, along with other departments, we actually went after a pretty aggressive grant. And I'm so excited to say that the city was awarded a $1.9 million grant for the infrastructure to help build that hospital.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So that was basically, and it was because of the job creation. It was because of us being in a rural area and offering those medical services. There were only 2 in the entire state of Arkansas that received this federal grant, this EDA grant.
Whoa.
And so Cabot being one of them. So I'm pretty excited. That's just a feather.
That's huge.
In the cap of this administration, being able to do that. And that helped alleviate a lot of the costs that go into building. I mean, it's a substantial investment for Unity, and for us to be able to just leverage in $2 million into supporting that and getting them the utilities to their site that they need. It's really that catalyst.
What does that cover? Is it more of like kind of getting the foundation ready and things like that?
Not the foundation. So it's basically wastewater, water, electricity, roadways, and things like that.
Gotcha,
so we're going to spend it out. We're going to get as much as we can to that property. And spend it out and help support them, and that way, that's just a great foundation. That's just one thing that they don't have to deal with, so they can get to going on their engineering and their design.
Good deal.
That's exciting.
Heck yeah, absolutely. No, that's absolutely gonna be enormous, especially in that area. Now, what do you feel as though? Do you think there's gonna be any type of trouble with traffic kind of going off of, because that's gonna be off of Highway 38, correct?
Yeah.
Do you feel as though that's gonna kind of congest any type of traffic, or is there plans of doing any type of adjustment to be able to have them there?
Gotcha. And so if you've been out to exit 21, I mean, it's kind of funny because it's this huge, beautiful, extended, broad interchange to like nothing.
Right? Yeah.
And so we're really glad that RDOT did have the vision and the foresight to actually go ahead and build that, knowing that that's what's going to come. So so we are also sitting on planning and zoning and traffic and streets, and Brian Burrows, who's over our special projects, and looking at how are we going to start tying into that and tying out of that. And so those are long-term plans too. So as the first issues of traffic were on the table, and we vetted them that these are issues that we need to address, and then let's look at funding, and now let's look at execution. It doesn't mean that we stop. I mean, it just means that there are now new things on the list, and there's new things that are going through funding, and we have a lot of projects that are in different buckets, so to speak, and we just pour them up the line until they're done. But there's always something on the list.
There you go.
There's always something on
it,
especially when it comes to infrastructure and traffic and streets and drainage.
So I wonder, is there anything that you can share? We're going to kind of go off the rails here a little bit. Is there anything you can
Here we go.
share that maybe fell through that was
Oh.
a possibility that can you share that? Because I know you have to go with the
fell through. Let's see. Actually, no. Really, everything. There's nothing that has fallen through. There have been some things that have been delayed, especially if anyone's paying attention to the stock market.
You're right. Yes.
And construction costs and and the interest rates.
Yes.
Nothing has been pulled off the table. Some things have been shelved, but again, this speaks to the industry that we're in and the things that I've dealt with for decades and decades. Is nothing is ever dead. It will change. It'll change its scope. It'll change its design a little bit, and it will change its from initial and maybe scaled back. But there are everything is still moving forward. It's just some are faster than others, and some maybe have taken a little pause, a little break, taking a little siesta.
So that'll kind of keep it exciting as well too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just that one that you're waiting on, and this is the time now. Now's the time to be able to use this one. We can definitely jump on it.
Yeah, within the next probably 60 days, you will see probably 4 new restaurants that will be coming up into the Cabot area. They, again, are through different stages of either finalizing the purchase of their land, getting through planning and zoning, and finalizing financing. So some of those have already gone through planning and zoning. Some have not. So again, we have 4. One's on the south side of town, one's in the middle, 2 are in the middle of town, and 1 is on the north side of town. And those are just, actually, I think 5. So there's 5.
Are there any of those you can?
No.
Share?
Well,
No?
I will go ahead. I'll say Chick-fil-A.
Yes, Chick-fil-A.
I'll say Chick-fil-A.
Let's give a huge round of applause on that one there. Everybody's been talking about
so
that.
Chick-fil-A.
Ever since they had that food truck come through, I know that was kind of like their testing stage, or their beta stage, where they were trying to test out and see how everything was flowing. Ever since then, everybody has been nonstop talking about it. I know there's been a couple other restaurants that have popped up, and they're like, "Oh my God, is that gonna be? Is that gonna be Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
What's going on?"
Only because that one did go before City Council on some approval of some funding. That one actually, funny enough, everyone thought that the food truck was the kind of the igniter to that. I talked to some engineers, and they have drawings of back to like 2015. Of just trying, but again, it comes down to the city doesn't own land. We don't own a lot of land, and what we do, we have to be very strategic with, and most of our municipalities are on that land that we own, and so I again have to go advocate to that landowner. Sometimes things are for sale, sometimes things are not for sale, sometimes things are not for sale.
Gotcha. Yeah, I gotcha. I hear that.
Yeah, and so being able to find just that mix of what that is and opportunities, because that site selector is out of Atlanta, as a matter of fact, and so he was looking at the inventory of what was on record with the national, the search engines that we have, and so we had to get very creative because those were not working for him and those were not going to fit within his budget, and so finding the right mix for him for something that was for sale, not for sale.
Gotcha. I hear you without hearing you.
Yeah. Do you hear me?
I hear you.
Or not?
Well, awesome. All right, so we've gone through the project for the highway. We've gone through the regional park development for the fire and police department training, as well as the sports complex and the Unity medical facility. Now, this is one that I want to say, I don't know if I spoke with Mayor Kincaid when he was here last time or not. He did tell me about it. Yeah. I can't remember if we actually shared it with everybody else. But I think now this is one that this is definitely one of the ones that were on the list that we spoke about. May not have made the cut just because of things that we couldn't speak about to the public. But tell us about the Gateway.
So if you've driven down Main Street in the past week or so, you will see that there are construction crews, and they typically have been coming in about 10 o'clock at night and packing it in about 5 in the morning, and they're overlaying the entire street, and that is an RDOT project. That is not a city project. So we again are on their timeline and on their time frame. But with that has been something that the mayor has been working on, and once the entire Main Street is overlaid and done, they are actually going to be dedicating the Main Street from about the Taco Bell all the way down to about City Hall back to the city, and that will now become a city street.
Nice.
We have put in enough grant money and funding and all of the work that we needed to do on the city side that they're going to be able to dedicate that back over to the city. So that will kind of be in our jurisdiction now.
So is that something you have to purchase, or is that something that it's maybe kind of handed over?
It's handed over, and it has to be all the powers that be must sign off on that. And again, it comes into all of the grants that we have found for the sidewalks, for the street improvements, for the overlays, and for the the work that we've done along that roadway specifically. And again, it's only a small stretch, but it will be something that's very exciting. So with that, he also is looking at grant funding for a gateway, because we have these beautiful welcome signs, and I meet with the welcome sign committee and the master gardeners often, and where they're placed, they were strategically placed at our gateways. However, our gateways have changed.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone new to town was like, "Why is that thing in the middle of that field?" And I was like, "Oh, because that was actually our only off ramp. I mean, that was Cabot. 89 was the Cabot Main Street exit, and now we have 3 thriving interchanges, and so people don't understand that. And so, kind of repurposing what does our gateway look like, and so it kind of goes into that gateway will be down Main Street, and then that feeds into City Hall, and we have some additional grant funding that we have of Old Main, where the Main Street.
I saw that one.
And so there's already a TAP grant that we already have approved for that, so we're working through engineering on that, because that was a state-funded grant, so we have to go through their policies and procedures on that, and that will be the entrance into the City Hall. Again, if you've driven by the
municipal complex,
if you've seen the municipal complex, we've ripped those stairs off. That was something, we had a lot of water damage down into our police department.
Yeah, it was definitely aged.
And the stairs were actually falling away from the building, so it was a safety hazard. So that was something that we had to remedy. And if you're gonna do it, let's do it.
Do it right.
And so that should be completed here pretty soon. And it is just putting that very modern spin on our buildings and our existing facilities to showcase who we are. So that's part of the Gateway 89, just leading into our downtown area. And there's a lot of opportunities that we have. And that's also on our planning that we have, working with our planning and zoning department, of an overlay district of, we lost our downtown in 1976 and with our historic buildings and kind of that character. And so how, if we're going to do it, what are we going to rebuild to make it not just a bunch of retail centers, but let's build the downtown character, and what does that look like? And we can kind of do that with an overlay district for that area.
Nice.
And so we've got long-term plans. Those are kind of down the line.
Yeah.
We don't have those funded yet.
Of course,
right. But there's going to be opportunities once we get through all of these things that we can start turning. And so looking towards that is, if we don't plan for it today, when we get there, we don't have the work done. And so we're putting the work in to really build that downtown culture.
So hypothetically speaking, if you were to hypothetically speaking,
if anyone has millions of dollars they'd like to donate to the city, come on in. I've got some projects for you.
If you were to revitalize that whole downtown area, that whole municipal complex, and all the way down to the shops that are there as well too, while still preserving the character of it, how would you go about doing it?
Well, and that's it. So there are a lot of companies and consultants that come in, and actually they leverage your assets. They tell you exactly what assets that you currently have in that area and how you can grow and amplify them and support them at the exact same time. So one of the things that we are doing right now is, behind City Hall, there was a kind of just an area. It had a fountain back there. If you've ever driven back there, you're like, hey, there's a fountain.
Yeah.
It served really no purpose. It had a beautiful mural on it. So right now, if you go over there, it is under construction. There is a pocket park being built there. It is an inclusive playground. It's one of 2 that we have in the city, and it's very exciting. So the Parks and Recs has got that under construction.
Tell them what you mean by inclusive.
So inclusive is for those with all abilities. And so the interesting thing about this particular park is the way that it is designed. It is designed for those with disabilities and without disabilities to play linear and to play next to each other. And so those children who maybe be impaired by wheelchair or by walkers or anything else can play next to their counterparts and their friends.
Love it.
Kind of alongside of each other. The other thing is that we talk about all abilities, is our retirees and our grandparents who want to get out and who are still active but have maybe a walker, or maybe have some some things that don't allow them to be on some different rocky surfaces, and get into the gravel. And I don't like to walk in the gravel.
Yeah.
And so this is all flat surface. So that grandparent can actually play with their toddler, or play with their grandchildren right alongside of them.
That's awesome.
And be able to have that experience. So an inclusive playground is for those with all abilities. And
Love it.
And again, right in our backyard at City Hall, right along our art walk and all of the murals that we have. So really the long-term plan that we're having for that too, to revamp that entire alleyway and be able to support all the people coming to the area in the downtown, and really creating a walkable downtown.
Yeah.
We want people to come on down and walk it.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of see everything that has to offer.
Yeah.
Now with that, that we have, like, obviously there's a couple of places down in off right off of Main Street, off of 89 in Cabot that are just kind of not being utilized.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So we have the old Sears building, and then we have the old Kmart building. Are there any type of plans? Is there something in the works? Even I know you probably can't talk about it, but is there something that is being worked on?
So as a matter of fact, the Sears building, Sears is in there. We actually purchased the Sears building and the Price Cutter building about a year ago.
Nice.
The city did. That Price Cutter building, Mike Wheeler and his team with Animal Services is actually doing a fantastic job of designing, and that is going to be, again, another workhorse for this community. So within that is going to be a emergency medical veterinary clinic.
Oh, okay.
That is going to be open to the public.
Okay.
There is also going to be, it's going to be where the Animal Services Center. So if you want to do any adoption of cats and birds, and I think he had like snakes and stuff.
Don't hate on the snakes, okay?
Listen, cats and dogs and other things. Again, they can have all that. I'll stick to the cats and dog area. But yeah, they're going to have a fully functioning Animal Services Center to get you out of the mindset of being able to have it as a more of an adoption facility, and in education. So young people, whenever they get that first puppy, especially a child, making sure that they're educated properly on the care that is needed with that puppy, and also the parents and owners as well.
Definitely.
And doing some long-term education within there. We will have an education center that will be in that building as well, and we're looking at moving our council chambers to that location, being able to utilize that for not just our city council, but for any other group and organization that needs to have a more seminar-style environment.
Yeah.
That'll be there. And then, boy, the thing I kind of dropped the headline. Our internet provider will be also in that building. Connect to First is actually so we one of the bonds that we approved last year was we're dedicating over $20 million for the city to have broadband.
Whoa.
Yes. So every single Cabot resident will have the availability to select broadband for, and it's through the First Electric Co-op, and it's Connect to First. And so the city will actually own that broadband, and then they are the third party who are going to do the administration and the billing and basically the back end side of that. So we wanted them to have a presence within our community. So if a resident had any questions, concerns, or just wanted to stop in and say, "Hey, great job," we really prefer that that they had a facility there. And then on the back side of that is also going to be a community pantry. So being able to put all of that under one house, and again that revitalization. That building sat for 12 years.
Yeah.
It was a tough one. It's so far into the city that it was really a tough one to try and attract from a national retailer. And so just putting that there and being able to have that and revamp and really showcase what we have on Main Street.
Just adding something else for people to do and people to enjoy as well too, and take advantage of.
And the Kmart building, absolutely. When I talk about things that are at the top of my list when I first got here, of course, it was that Kmart building. I mean, I recall going there when I was a kid, and we took our Olin Mills pictures in the back. I mean, my goodness, that's experienced some substantial damage over the years. It had some issues when we had the freezes a couple of years ago, unfortunately, and so making sure, but working with I talk to those owners often. And to be continued.
Okay.
I was like,
all right. I love how you left that out. There's talks.
Yeah, there are talks. I was like, get the next. You can purchase the next book.
Subscribe for more. Okay?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, great. Oh, I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So at least there's something kind of. Do you feel though as though there's movement though?
Well, absolutely. There's more movement now, and again, that's one of those ones I hope that we can make some announcements by the end of the year on that building. We brought to them an engineering partner. We've brought to them a construction partner, and we also have been advocating. And we go to different retailers from across the country. And get me in front of somebody and let me tell the story.
That's right.
And so those retailers, we've gone to a couple of different trade shows where we're able to sit down with them one-on-one and really lay our demographics out, lay who we are, our trade area, and get in front of them, and they are very interested. So again, it's a slow moving boat, but the boat's moving.
That's right.
So,
Absolutely. That's right. Either an inch or a mile.
Yeah. Dot. That's all I can say right now. Dot.
I love it. I love it. Okay. All right. So hey, I know you're absolutely busy, but we love that you are here. Is there anything that you want to kind of tell everybody out there to kind of maybe expect or something maybe as far as a call to action that you'd like to leave them with?
Gotcha. So the call to action is really understand that there are so many people that are so positive and working so hard for the city of Cabot. And as I mean, I just highlighted just 5 things that we are working on in the
Right.
city. Know that each one of our departments have probably another list of 20 or 30 that they're also working on. I cannot say more about our street and traffic department. I mean, they are out there and diligently, and they see the struggles that they have. However, we are restricted by some of the things that we have to deal with. Our planning and zoning, they are they are just inundated with calls and text and reviews of plans of people wanting to come to the area, and they are following and really holding the letter of the law, and being that final that final gap for us when it comes to making sure that they're doing that strategic growth and doing what is responsible long term for the city of Cabot. And then of course that administration and our city council, I mean, they are just, pay attention. They're really pushing Cabot forward and that vision. So just continue to support them in their efforts and understand that while things are not moving as quickly as we would all like. And again, he was here, 2-3 years ago?
That's right, yeah,
and now
exactly.
I'm like, it's happening.
It's happening, exactly.
So, watch the council because they are really, they're very great and very diligent when it comes to being very aggressive when it comes to our city and doing what is right for our community. And I'm just so thankful to be a part of this entire administration. And I hear y'all. I hear Cracker Barrel. I hear Olive Garden. I get it. I get it. And right now, with the recession on its heels and things like that, it does not mean that things are stopping. It means things are going to probably slow down a little bit, even more so. But that does not mean that people are not coming. I get touch and goes all the time of developers who are coming to town and nobody knows. And sometimes I do get the word that they're coming, and sometimes I don't. And so there is a lot more that's going to be coming within the next couple of years. So.
Love it. I love it. So if people want to reach out to you or reach out to your team, how can they do that?
So the best resource is go to our website. So cabotar.gov. It has everything that you need to know. There is a search feature. We actually are working through probably within the next year that we're going to revise that entire website and make it more user friendly. That's again, it's on the list of projects that we have coming down. But go to that search feature. You can see everything from agenda meetings that we have at City Council for planning and zoning for the work that we're doing, and all of the links in there as well. It is a great resource of information. And if you don't know what to do, there's a number on there to call for City Hall. And Miss Cleta, who's at the front desk, knows everybody and everything.
Yes, ma'am.
And she will get you where you need to go. And again, ask us questions. We love answering questions and if we don't have the answer, we've got somebody on our team who absolutely does know, and we're going to put you in connection with them. So,
love it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Alicia, thank you so much for being here. This is such a treat. These are the type of ones that we love to do because of the fact that it shows everybody the growth and the possibility of what's gonna be coming. But not only that, but it gives everybody a little bit more of a enthusiasm to kind of to know what exactly is happening in the city. So
absolutely,
and surrounding areas as well too.
Yep.
Again, we appreciate you so much for being here today. We've got to do this again. I was trying, I know you're super busy, but if we can make it like a semi-annual, maybe
love this plan.
Thing.
Like as these things start to kind of pop off, I'll kind of be like and recap.
That's right,
and I'll just roll out the.
That's right.
The scroll.
We'll be the TMZ of
there we go.
The cities.
Yeah. Up next.
All right. Awesome. Well, again, we appreciate you so much. You guys, if you guys need more information, make sure to follow those websites. Also follow Alicia as well too, and her team on social media as well too.
Absolutely. Go to the Facebook. City of Cabot. We put a lot of information. It is a great resource. cabotar.gov. Check us out and let us know if we can help you out with anything.
Absolutely, y'all. So, hey, you heard it here first. Not first, but you know what I mean. You heard it. I like to think it's first.
Some of you heard it first.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, thank you guys so much again for tuning into this. If you like this video, if you feel as though somebody will get some sort of input out of this, or excuse me, if somebody will get some sort of information out of this that's useful for them, by all means, please share it with them, tag them in this, and also subscribe and follow us on social medias as well, too, for more. Until next time, my name is Joshua Suarez, Alicia Payseno, with the Edge Realty Podcast. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.